So Stephanie is out here blaming everybody because she has more haters than supporters. Yes, I'm talking about Stephanie Thompson from the Resilient Jenkins. If you guys don't know about them, they're the family of 7 that are homeless, living in a motel slash shelter, and they've been there for almost a year now. And I am completely 100% convinced that Stephanie watches my videos. I do know she followed me at one point because of Jenna. Don't know what was said, but I was basically exposing Desiree, the other mother, which there's a lot behind that. I have a YouTube video up. You guys can go check it out. But I never once said that I was like taking Stephanie's side. I think she just assumed that. But hey, girl, if you ever want to message me, you can message me. I'm a really open person, but I am brutally honest. So if you don't have a tough skin, maybe don't. But I'm here to also tell you that the reason you built your platform on hate, your first video that went viral was because people were judging the way that you were living. And I actually love the fact that you want to do it like a non-aesthetic way and you want to be yourself. Do you, boo? But let me tell you, there's certain things you just do not put on the internet. First of all, your children, because there's a lot of creepos on the internet and you may think that they're not around, but they are. And I guarantee there's a lot of plays in those videos with your children because there are weirdos watching them. But you built that. You created that because not only after you went viral did you do that, you continued doing it. You showed your moldy clothes. You did all of that. There is some things that you can still keep private while being real. I'm a real ass person, and I'm probably the weirdest person you'll ever meet, especially just off the internet. Honestly, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. But I don't feel like all of that needs to be put on the internet. There's a lot of things I could put on the internet to rage bait, to tell people stories, or to make something up. But you know what? That's not what I wanted my content to be. Just like you, Stephanie, I wasn't the type of person that I thought would ever get online and talk or post videos or do any of that. But I started. And I found joy in it, which is what I think you find joy in doing, because you do have a little bit of people that are giving you the attention you want. But what you have to realize about social media is you are what you put out there. So since you are putting out this content that is not only rage bait, that is not only shocking, that is not only threatening to your children, you are not going to get a solid community around you of support to where you will get brand deals and companies that want to work with you. That just won't happen. And in order to do that, you need to turn around what exactly you're posting and stop showing what you believe is unaesthetic and real. Because that's not what it is. You can literally post your motel living. You can literally post your struggles, your savings, your cooking, there's so much content that you can post without doing any of those things, without exploiting your children, without exploiting your situation. And you can make really good money on it, especially with brand deals. But every single choice you make in your social media thus far has shown that you can't do that. And that means rebuilding from the bottom up, because a majority of your followers, sorry to break it to you, are haters. Part of the biggest part of success on social media is having a good community. And it doesn't matter where you start. You can start on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere. As long as you have a good community of people that support you and love what kind of content you put out, you will be okay in creating content. But like I said, you've already made that mistake of rage baiting and getting people to hate watch you instead of watching you as just a content creator. So don't sit here and blame others for the actions that you have done and you have chosen to put online. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Have the day you deserve. Stephanie, Don't you realize that Google is free and everybody already knows the shelter you're staying in? So if you guys didn't catch Stephanie live, you know, from the Resilient Jenkins, Stephanie Thompson, she claims they pay $700 a week for the hotel. No, you don't. That hotel is part of a program in Portland, Oregon that gives assistance for the homeless. And they have plans on tearing down all these hotels that give that assistance to build housing for the homeless, or low income housing, or like more shelter based that has more room, pretty much, because there's a lot of people homeless out in Portland. Like, that's public information. You do know we could use Google, and Google is free. We know that. The only way that you would be permitted in a motel room to have that many people is if that motel room was a shelter. And to everybody that's over here saying, oh, well, how is it permitted? Portland, Oregon is a whole different beast. There's a lot of people homeless, especially with children. So they try to, at their very best, put people where they need to be. Now, I read that they are pushing in Portland, Oregon, to that you can only stay in homeless housing for up to 90 days unless you have some circumstance that prevents you from doing something, in which they will give you assistance with. There is, as of right now, no time limit. The person I had spoke with previously had told me that usually they reevaluate things within a year, and that's my guess is what's happening is that's why Drew got a job, not because he wants to pay child support or make money. It's because they have to show that they are trying, and they will continue to assist them in their living situation. Stephanie, you do not pay $700 a week for that dump. We know that. How do we know that? Because Google is free. And so is the city and state of Portland, Oregon. You can look up all this stuff up online. It's not a secret. And actually, in that specific hotel, when you moved in there, it was still operating as a motel. But as I did my research now, it's actually only operating as a shelter for families and people that like are sick or they're contagious and they need to be somewhere. So doesn't sound like a very stable place for your children. But quit lying, girl. You is lying, because if you were paying that much, you would have paid your rent. Yeah, I went there. So get a better lie. The rage bait ain't working no more. Do you want to know something extremely more funny than Stephanie and Drew blatantly lying about paying for their motel/shelter? Is that I actually looked up, because I did this a long time ago, because where they're at, there's two properties. The first property, I believe they were staying at the first motel they were in, and then they moved to the second property. But let me tell you, I researched it, and honestly, I think she's getting scammed out of her fake $780 or whatever. Because when you look it up and you stay at that specific motel, you would be paying about $60 to $70 a night, tops maybe $80. So you'd be paying around $500. So they didn't do their math right. But the fact of the matter is that is used as a homeless shelter, and it hasn't been used as a active motel since late last year, end of last year. Google is free. Google is literally free. You can get on any device and you can look up that information. It's public information. The more you know. So Stephanie's man's Drew has told us exactly what they spend their money on. And I did a little research, because being a gardener myself, I spend about that much, but I have a job and I pay all my bills and I have everything I need as an adult with children. So let's break it down here. So basically, Drew went live recently and said that they go to the Dispo, you know, the gardening one, and they basically spend like $30 every 2 to 3 days. So I did a little research. We all know Oregon is one of the top states for, you know, the gardening. But I was like, hey, let's see how much it is. So, you know, I did a little research and found out that they can actually get a lot of flowers for that amount. And the fact that they're going through it in 2 to 3 days, I'm telling you right now that that's where a lot of Stephanie's and Drew's problems are coming from, including the seizures and possibly even the stomach issues that Stephanie is claiming. Because you're partaking that much? Wow. Like I said, I spend about the same amount every week, $60 to $80, give or take, but my husband also is a gardener. And I also have my medical card, which in basically it's like medicine, pretty much. So $240 a month they are setting aside for a habit, because that's what it is a habit. Now, Stephanie's mom has said she has gone to detox for garden. I know, I was surprised too, because I've never met anybody that has had to go to detox and or rehab for it, but there are people that have that kind of chemistry in their brain that they have to do that because it affects them in a different way and they feel like they need. Me, for instance, I've gone weeks without partaking and I'm fine. But again, you don't have a home, you're living off the government, but it's okay to spend $240 a month on gardening supplies. Yeah, no, it just doesn't add up. I am fully on the boat of they are doing harder substances. I think their rug habits, regardless of if it's just gardening or not, are way more than $240 a month. And also, I feel like their gardening habit that they have going on is affecting the way that they spend their money. But it's very evident with Stephanie always carrying her little purse everywhere that there is something they do not want the children to be getting into. I don't know, that's just a red flag to me. But aside from that, they also have a car payment they should be paying and insurance. That's it. Possibly a phone bill. That's it. Because we already know they're not paying for the shelter because, you know, Google works overtime, Stephanie.